Victorian-era birth control. The Victorian era is known for its rigid moral and social norms, especially regarding sexuality and reproductive control. However, there is little talk about how women of that time faced these restrictions and began to fight for their reproductive rights. Despite the prohibitions, they found creative and courageous ways to control their fertility and spread information about contraception. In the late 19th century, discussing contraceptive methods or avoiding pregnancy was considered inappropriate and often illegal. However, it was in this context that Annie Besant emerged as one of the first advocates for women's reproductive rights. Besant published and distributed a pamphlet encouraging women to practice birth control. Her goal was simple and fair: to allow poor women, often burdened with many children, to decide if and when to have children. Besant's pamphlet explained the physiology of intercourse and suggested primitive contraceptive methods in accessible language. This courageous act resulted in her arrest on charges of distributing obscene material. Ironically, Besant's imprisonment only increased the notoriety of her pamphlet, turning it into a bestseller and increasing sales from 700 to 125,000 copies per year. Even in the face of illegality, women and some men secretly used a variety of contraceptive methods. The condom, for example, began to be mass-produced in the early 20th century, but had already existed in a rudimentary form since the 16th century, used to prevent infections transmitted by courtesans. In the early 19th century, the clandestine sale of condoms was common on the streets of London and Paris due to outbreaks of venereal diseases. These primitive condoms were made from animal membranes, such as pig gut, and needed to be hydrated before use. They were expensive and often reused after careful washing. As technology advanced, vulcanized rubber condoms began to be produced in the mid-19th century, making them more affordable and disposable. Victorian women also used postcoital genital washing methods, known as douching, using mixtures of water with vinegar or baking soda. These practices were complemented by pre-made spermicidal solutions, such as carbolic acid and salicylic acid. Some women went further, using zinc sulfate or aluminum sulfate solutions, applied with syringes and sponges or cotton swabs soaked in vinegar or baking soda solutions. In the late Victorian era, the yuck, a precursor to the modern IUD, emerged, preventing embryo implantation in the uterus. Despite all these methods, the most popular continued to be coitus interruptus, which depended on male control and was widely accepted by society and the church of the time. The history of birth control in the Victorian era is a story of innovation. The courageous actions of women like Annie Besant paved the way for modern reproductive rights, highlighting the importance of education and autonomy over one's own body. If you enjoyed this historical account and want to learn more about similar topics, leave your comment and suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next videos. Until then,